Okay, so we are done with the mockups. We have those screens created. They're in our directory here under this mocks folder. And we are now on to the architectural review. So this is going to be a small section. It'll go quick, but this is an essential one. And what it is we're basically taking the implementation plan that was recommended. Basically, remember, we went through Confabulator. It generated those foundational documents, one of which is the implementation plan. And then it also created a bunch of GitHub issues that stemmed from this. Well, that used OpenAI, and frankly, Claude just does a better job. But this is a good way to do it, where it comes out with OpenAI's recommendation, and then Claude comes in as the CTO and does like an architectural review of those docs. And I guarantee you, it's going to find a lot of issues, and it's going to just make them way better. So this is the last thing that we do before we then dive in and start building stuff. But this informs, like, if there's changes to the tech stack, we need to do this before we do anything else. So that's what we're doing now. But before we do that, we're going to disable the frame zero MCP. Because remember, like I said, the context, we want to free up as much context as possible, and we no longer need that. So let's do that first. That's real easy. It's just the opposite of what we did before. We go in here to our claude.json file and can scroll to the bottom. It's just up a little bit here, and we can take this out. And we need to take out, yeah, that much. Save that. And remember, we always got to restart Claude for those changes to take effect. And now we can check it just to confirm. If we run MCP, you can see that frame zero is no longer there. So that's good. Okay. All right. So now the goal, we're going to put it into plan mode. So the way you do this, shift tab, you see how that's changing down there? It's nothing, and then auto accept edits, and then plan mode. So we want it in plan mode for this. Plan mode is basically where it's putting its thinking hat on. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to change any files. But it seems to do like a deeper chain of thought reasoning around what's actually happening. And it leads to better, like, strategic long-term planning type activities. So we're going to have it basically read the PRD, read the implementation plan, and beat up on it. So I will just record a prompt here. I'll give it to you. If you want to use the same one, you can, but let's just dictate it. Can you read the PRD and implementation plan, and then put on your CTO hat and do an architectural review where you challenge any requirements, any recommendations, look at the tech stack, look at all of the the technical implementation details, and push back, challenge anything that doesn't seem right, recommend a better way of doing things. If you have different preferences other than what's stated there, feel free to improve. Our goal here is to get to an optimal set of recommendations and and just fix the recommendations that are there. And then as a last step of that, you'll want to we'll defer. We'll stop there actually. I'm going to delete that last part. I realized we should just do this in two separate steps. So, oh, by the way, so command delete deletes a full line. Getting around in this little area down here, because we're in a terminal window, so you can't just like point and click and then the cursor is there. So you have to like kind of use these arrow keys to get around. But there's actually ways to kind of like some little hacks here. So like deleting a line is command delete. You can also skip around like to the end of a line by same thing, command and left arrow, right arrow, and then option does it by the word. And so this is just like ways to kind of get better at navigating this terminal window, because it's not like point and click. Okay, so I'm gonna go though, and I'm gonna make this refer to the actual documents. Remember the way we do that? It's we can do it two ways. We can do at. And we can also just copy the path up here. I'll just do it the at way. Okay, put on your CTO ad. Perfect. Okay, so it's in plan mode. We've got this. We're referring to all the docs, ready to go. Hit enter, and it's going to think for a while. And so it's going to read those docs, and it's going to beat up on them. So let's see what it does. Okay, so you can see that it has done a bunch of work, but now it will do these clarifying questions. This is kind of a cool new thing they recently came out with. So it's like this tabbed approach where you go through and you're answering like yes, no, or other type clarifying questions. So this is a progressive web app, blah, blah, blah. Let's PWA is fine. That's what we want. We can do another video maybe at some point on the native apps because that's like a different learning path. But I think for simplicity's sake, let's do a progressive web app. Simple request from full calendar version. Let's keep it simple for the sake of the MVP. Geographic. Simple. Need location-based filtering answers from day one. Okay, so this is basically like, is it single? Is it multi-tenant? Like, do we need to worry about multiple locales and multiple admins? I'd say let's keep it simple, single city for now. We can, again, MVP, we can always add that down the road. Yes, this is what I said, if you remember early. I disagree with the Mongo. MongoDB is a NoSQL database. And for what this is, this is like a relational. It just makes sense. Like it does. We don't need a hierarchical DB for this. So Postgres makes more sense. So I agree with that. Submit the answers. Okay, so it's finished its plan, and here's how it presents these. So when it's in plan mode, like I said, it's not going to do anything. It's not running like full agent YOLO, just implement changes on its own. So it's gonna tell us a bunch of stuff here. So basically all the fixes it's making, and I agree with this. Next.js, Postgres, perfect, perfect. And it's already like not up. It's going to update not just the implementation plan, but the other things that refer to it, which is great. And so it's saying ready to go. Here's all the decisions. Right. So it's found all these contradictions in it. Basically, like OpenAI can't hold a candle to Claude in terms of like figuring this stuff out. Um, so yeah, so we're good with this. I'm not even gonna. So this is the schema, which at first glance looks great. Okay, so let's see here. Last revised feature user authentication dog profile detail. Post MVP. Okay, so this is what we want. Basically, yes, we want you to keep going and auto approve edits. Now, the other thing we're going to have it update because it found the other files in there, but it has not noticed that it hasn't said anything about the GitHub issues. So we're going to have to tell it, hey, in light of these changes, please go ahead and update all the GitHub issues that were referencing the old plan. But easy enough. I could have rolled that all into one task, but I think we get a better result if we actually let it do this, execute this first, and then after it's done, then we can tell it to go back and do it. Okay, so it's done its thing. We can go and see something to notice here is how these files that are yellow means that they've changed since we started. And so you can just like quickly, this is why I love having cursor and not just Claude Code running in the terminal, is you get this file system view, so you can just like quickly see something, go into it, Command Shift V, and review the stuff here. And if you want to see like diff the changes where you actually see side by side what's changed, you can go into the source control tab, and then you can see this. The red stuff is all deleted and replaced by the green stuff. So this is all the changes to the implementation plan can be found here. I'm just going to take it without reviewing all this because it's going to take a while. It's pretty dang good. It's in all likelihood, it's probably perfect, and maybe there's some minor errors, but we'll discover them as we go. So so far so good. We've got the revised implementation plan. Now the last thing we need to do is actually bring the GitHub issues current. So I'm just going to do this via dictation. Great job. Can you use the GitHub CLI to review all of the open GitHub issues and make a pass through each one of them and bring them current given the new implementation plan and feature priority, and delete anything that is obsolete and bring it current. Also update the dependency graph given that some of the features have been deprioritized for the MVP. And I'll put this prompt somewhere where you can use it. Here, I'll just copy it and save it to a text file, and I'll include it if you just want to use that yourself. And let's go. All right, so it's finished its thing. Let's just check real quick to see. It tells us what it did here. So implement messaging system, email notifications. Okay, so I disagree with this one. I actually think that we want the messaging to be left in there. So I'm just going to push back real quick and say, I noticed you deprioritized the shelter communication issue number 7. We actually do need in-app messaging for the MVP. So can you bring that one back, please? And just bring it current with the implementation plan, the revised implementation plan. Okay, so it's finished. We just revived the in-app messaging one, but it's done doing everything it was going to do. The calendar one is deferred. So Lex, if we want to go verify this, we could go in here. Probably the easiest way to get there is to go find our confabulator project and then just hit project board. And that'll take us here. You can see calendar API. It looks like it's been marked as closed. Okay, so that's what we want. Everything else here has been updated, and it tells us what it did on all these. So given that we're doing a Next.js, Postgres, Prisma, blah, 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 you can see that it's updated all these. So great. So everything's good at this point. Let's do a commit. And I think as a teaching opportunity, I showed you last time how to do it via this, where you stage the changes, hit that to create the commit message, and then commit. We're going to do it a different way this time. I'm just going to tell it, can you go ahead and commit these changes to source control and push to main? So you can see it's writing a commit message of its own, and it's going to do the commit, and we'll see this. We'll know that it's worked. We'll know that it's worked when this goes to 0, which it just did. This, by the way, I had put the frame 0 source doc. So I saved that just in case we do want to make some changes down the road. I put that in there. That's why there's still something there. But everything else that it updated, you can see it's no longer shown, which means it's in. It's in. And if we need to go verify this, we can, again, go back here, go to the project. Probably easiest way to get there is this. And let's see. Implementation plan. If there's mention of, like, do a search for Next.js, that's probably the easiest. Oh, did it push it? That's a question. Oh, we haven't pushed it yet. Here. So git push origin main, remember, there's like a two-stage thing here. Committing it is one thing. That saves it to your local Git repo. And then pushing it pushes it to GitHub, the remote repo that's here. And so now let's reload this, search for Next.js. Oh, there it is. So yeah, so this is the revised version of this. Okay, so everything's good. That completes our architectural review. And the next thing we're going to do is now we're finally going to get a chance to build. This is the fun part with Claude Code. So we're going to start building out those screens based on the mocks directory, all the things that we came up with in frame 0. We're going to start turning those into actual pages in our Next.js application. And we're going to fill them with dummy data and then show you how to run the development server locally and make sure that everything is covered and we got everything we want. And this is really, again, where it's just like progressively going to higher and higher fidelity prototypes. If you want to think of it that way, you can start literally with a paper sketch if you want, but like we did the ASCII representation, turned that into the frame 0 screens. Now we're turning that into actual code, useful application code, but it's just going to be dummy data. And then down the road, we're going to then swap it out and implement a database and make it into a real live functioning application. All right, see you in the next video.